My stepmother held my funeral to steal my inheritance. They say you only get to attend your own funeral in your nightmares. Well, I attended mine, and it was the most satisfying day of my life. As I stood at the back of the cemetery, hidden behind a stone monument, I watched my stepmother, Elena, perform the role of a lifetime. She was draped in expensive black lace, sobbing into a silk handkerchief, while her son, Marcus, stood beside her, already wearing my father's gold watch. They thought they had won. They thought the $500,000 they paid those kidnappers to make me disappear was the best investment they ever made. They didn't realize that I didn't just survive, I came back with a receipt for their souls. My father is 82, a lion of the shipping industry whose mind is finally fading. Elena married him 3 years ago. She was 30 years younger, beautiful, and devoted. But I saw the way she looked at the company ledgers. 2 weeks ago, I was pulled out of my car by 3 armed men. They didn't want a ransom. They told me plainly, "Your stepmother wants you in the ground so Marcus can take the CEO chair." They drove me to a remote forest. But they made one mistake. They didn't realize I knew the leader. He was a man I had helped years ago when I worked in the DA's office. Instead of pulling the trigger, he took the money she paid him and helped me play the long game. For 10 days, I was missing. The police found my blood-stained car near a cliff. Elena didn't even wait for a body to be found. She used her influence to have me declared presumed dead, so she could take control of the estate. She organized the funeral for today, a grand, televised event meant to show her grief to the shareholders. As the priest began the final prayer, Elena stepped up to the podium. She started talking about how much she loved me and how she would carry on my legacy by letting Marcus run the company. It was sickening. It was also the exact moment my phone vibrated. The signal was ready. I stepped out from behind the monument. The wind caught my coat as I walked down the center aisle of the cemetery. The gasps started at the back and moved forward like a wave. Elena was mid-sentence, talking about my tragic end, when she looked up and saw me. Her face didn't just turn pale, it turned gray. She dropped her handkerchief, her eyes bulging as if she were seeing a ghost. "You look like you've seen a dead man, Elena," I said. My voice was amplified by the microphones on the podium. Marcus tried to stand in my way, but I shoved him aside. I pulled out a tablet and connected it to the large screen she had, set up to show a slideshow of my life. Instead of baby photos, the screens filled with a recording, Elena's own voice, caught on the kidnapper's hidden wire, authorizing the hit and promising the final payment once the funeral was over. The police, who I had invited as guests, moved in immediately. The crowd of shareholders and socialites watched in silence as the grieving widow was tackled to the ground in her designer funeral dress. My father, who had been sitting in the front row in a daze, suddenly looked at me with a flash of clarity. I knelt beside him and handed him the gold watch I had stripped off Marcus's wrist. "The company is safe, Dad," I whispered. Elena was screaming, accusing the kidnappers of lying. But the digital trail was ironclad. She had spent $500,000 to kill me, and all she bought was a life sentence in a high-security prison.